Hey geometry, and welcome to the little quick video tutorial on geometry with similarity. Let's go full screen here. Alright, we're looking at all kinds of shapes, mostly triangles and quadrilaterals, but any shapes can be similar with their proportions. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first thing that we want to be able to do is solve a proportion. To solve a proportion or get that variable all by itself, it's always helpful if we can remove all the other stuff and somehow get this variable to be on top. One of the common strategies, not the only way to do it, but one of the common things that a lot of people do is they cross multiply. They multiply by these denominators. Because if you have a denominator, then it's easy to multiply by it to kind of get it out of the way. Let's keep in mind, though, that if we can simplify ahead of time, sometimes that'll help us. So take, for example, this. The 8 and the 4 would simplify to just 2 over 1, or just 2, we could say. So now when I'm cross multiplying, I just really have to multiply by this a. So multiply both sides by a, and then I'd get on the left, a over a is just 1 over 1. So that simplifies. That's not even there. I don't have to write the number 1. Then I just have 7. On the right side, though, I have 2a. And when I simplify that, I'm going to have 7 halves equals a. That was not bad at all. Let's take a look at the second one here. 8 over 2 does simplify just as much. 8 and 2 are both divisible by 2. So the top would go in 4 times. The bottom, it would go in once. Now I need to get this x by itself. To get that x by itself, I got to get rid of this denominator underneath it. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So I'm going to simplify these 3's on the left. That's just x. And on the right, I have 4 times 3 here. So 4 times 3 is going to wind up being 12. And that's our answer for x. Because x is by itself. And it's 12. Right there. Remember, pause the video. Slow it down. Watch it again. Do whatever you need to do to adjust your pace. I'm going to go fairly quickly, but I'll try and write things as I go. A couple more examples. Look, I'm at number 9. Number 9. So first, let's simplify. 9 and 3, those simplify. 3 divides into each of those. 3 goes on top, 1 goes on bottom. So now I have 3 equals 8 over x minus 8. Hold the phone. I saw people doing this today. Don't do that. The blue, don't do this. Don't do this. It's wrong. Notice how my words are getting really big because you need to know that that's wrong. Let's see why. Let's clear this out and show you why. Let's say I have something, I don't know, x plus 8 over 6 equals, I don't know, 1/2. Yes, there is a solution to this, but the problem is that so many people look at it and they say, oh, the 6 and the 8, those simplify. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that 8 over 6 does not simplify. This does. That's okay. But when we have something else here, there's a problem. There's a big problem. And that problem comes because something's going on here that we don't realize. Whenever we have this dividing bar, this bar in the middle, that does a couple things. First, it tells us to divide. But second, it also groups multiple terms like this x and 8. So that x and 8 is grouped. And because it's grouped, we would normally write that in parentheses. But we're lazy because the dividing bar is already grouping it. Why be redundant and write the parentheses and the dividing bar both as grouping symbols? It's grouped. That's the problem. Why is that a problem? Well, think back to your old days of PEMDAS, or I like to say it could be PEDMAS, or it could be PEMDSA, or PEDMSA. Why does it not matter? Because this bottom level, those can go in either order, adding or subtracting. This top level, those can go in either order, so adding or subtracting. But parentheses or grouping always comes first. Group discount. Way more important than this stuff. Then exponents, which we're not dealing with, and then multiply and divide. So when I see this x plus 8, it's grouped. That means the adding would come before the dividing. Dividing is second. Alright, hopefully we cleared up some stuff there, but let's see how that would apply to this actual thing here. So I can't reduce or simplify this 8 and 8. I gotta leave it alone. So first I'm going to simplify or reduce the 9 and 3. Divide both by 3, you get 3 over 1. Now I'll do that whole cross multiplying junk. So I'm going to multiply this left side, or both sides, by x minus 8. That gives me 3 times x minus 8 equals, well, this x minus 8 and this x minus 8 simplify to 1 over 1 equals 8 on the right side. So now I need to ungroup this. To ungroup something is to distribute, so that's going to be 3x minus 24 equals 8. Now I gotta just do some algebra, get that x by itself. So we got 24 added on both sides. 3x equals 32. Divide by 3. X equals 32 divided by 3, which is 10 and 2/3, or 10.66666666667, however you want to say it. This is fine for me. On your test, you'll probably see some multiple choices, maybe use a calculator, who knows. Let's do this next one in red, just to be different. The 8 and the 4 are going to simplify. This 2 and 9, even if 2 and 9 could simplify, it wouldn't. Why? Because this is grouped. It's grouped. Leave it alone. The 8 and the 4 does simplify, though, because those are individual terms. So we have 2 on top, 1 on bottom. Oh, now this is interesting. Here's a conceptual shortcut. I see that the tops are the same. That means the bottoms are going to be the same too. So that means that x minus 9 has to equal 1. Therefore, when I add 9, I get x equals 10. Let's show you the long way as well. So if I did do the whole cross multiplying thing, I multiply this side by 1, the other side by x minus 9. That would give me 2 times 1 equals 2 times x minus 9. Now I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to do anything because I could divide both sides by 2. And that simplifies those 2 over 2's. Then I have 1 equals x minus 9, the same thing that I shortcutted to before. So you could either take the detour and get there the long way, or just realize that if the tops are the same, so are the bottoms. Alright, enough of this simple algebra. Let's do some geometry. Okay, so they are asking us to find, it doesn't say here, but the prompt is asking you to find the similarity ratio. And the similarity ratio is that simplified proportion from one shape to the other, from the small to the big in this case. It could be big to small, but this prompt had said small to big. That means I got to take one of these small numbers and compare it to the big one that corresponds. So this 6, it doesn't have anything to correspond to, so I'm not going to even pay attention to that. But this 3 and this 9, those correspond, and this 5 and this 15, those correspond. Well, the small one would be 3, the big one would be 9. That's going to be 1/3 if I simplify it. Similarly, if I'd use the 5 and the 15, those would also equal 1/3. So that ratio, that 1/3, that's our similarity ratio. Similarity ratio equals 1/3. Ready, set, I'm moving on. You better pause. Ready, set, go. Alright. See if you can try these ones, but try to use some of your common sense here. We don't match up sides that are the same necessarily. We want corresponding. So if this 18, we'll go with this 12. And this 18, since it's the same number, I'll box that one too. And this 9 is going to go with this question mark. So I need to figure out what that question mark is and find the similarity ratio. Alright, so let's start setting something up. We'll call this x for the question mark. That means that x is going to be compared to 9. And then this 12 here, it's going to be compared to 18. Now remember, we can reduce to start, and that helps us a lot in the end. So 12 and 18 reduce. Divide both of those by 6, you get 2/3. So now if I start to solve, if I do some algebra, I got to get rid of this 9 next to the x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. So then I have x equals 2 over 3 times 9. But then the 9 and the 3 simplify, and that becomes 3 on top, 1 on bottom. So x equals 2 times 3, or just 6. But what's that ratio? What's that similarity ratio? Well, it's the ratio that we get when we simplify those compared numbers, which would have been 2/3. So the similarity ratio is 2/3. All right, let's jump over to this one. I want corresponding sides. So this 3, I'm going to put it in a triangle, goes with this 9. I'm going to put that in a triangle too. This question mark, X in the box, is going to go with this 21. Why? Because they're corresponding sides. They're the sides that represent the same orientation on each piece. So let's compare them. I'm going to have X over its corresponding side, which in this case is 21. It's equal to 3 over its other corresponding side, which is 9. Let's reduce. 3 and 9 reduce to 1/3. Now if I do some cross multiplying, or not necessarily cross multiplying, but get rid of this 21. I'm going to multiply both sides by 21. 21 over 21, that simplifies. It's just 1. The other side, I have 1/3 times 21. Well, 21 and 3 actually simplify. That's going to become 7 over 1, or just 7. So the question mark is 7. And the similarity ratio is 1/3, because it's 1 to the other. Alright, let's look at the next one. We're just moving along nice and easy here. Alright, so this question mark, what does it correspond to? We're going to mark it with X. It looks like it's going to correspond to this 40. And then I had some other students ask this question, like, well, how do I know which ones to match up? They just have to be corresponding. I don't care which ones you use, but they do need to be corresponding. So this 35, that doesn't really go with anything, so let's take that back. But the 25 and 30, 15 and 18, the shapes correspond. So if I look at the shapes, the circle would be 25 over 30. And that's going to simplify to 5 over 6. And then the box, that's going to be 15 over 18, which again is going to simplify to 5 over 6. And then, so this last one, the triangle, I don't know what that is, but I know that the X is going to go on the bottom, I guess, that we have here. Let's go ahead and flip that, though. Let's put X over 40. That means that for the other piece, I got to have the big number on top. So we're going to have, let's say, 30 over 25. Why, again, that simplifies. It's just upside down. It's the reciprocal. So it's going to be 6 over 5. So I have X over 40 equals 6 over 5. I need to get rid of this 40, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 40. Because 40 over 40 simplifies to 1, I'm left with just X. On the other side, 40 and 5 are going to simplify. So I'm going to have 6 times 40 over 5. What does that simplify to? Well, 5 goes into 40 8 times, so it's just 8. Then X equals 6 times 8, which is 48. Alright, next one. Be careful. A lot of people see this 12 and 12 and they say, oh, those are equal. They must match. No, look at the shape. Let's color code. The black side goes with the black side. The red side goes with the red side. That's why I like to use shapes. Box and box. Those two go together. And then for the black, let's do triangle. Triangle and triangle. So we have this X minus 4. Let's put that on top. We got X minus 4. What goes with X minus 4? 12. Equals. Well, then we got to put the triangle from this one on top again. So we got 12 on top here and then 18 on bottom. Simplify. Always simplify whenever you can. 12 over 18, both divisible by 6, which is going to give us 2 over 3. So X minus 4 over 12 equals 2 over 3. So I got to multiply both sides by 12. I got to get rid of that denominator. So 12 and 12, those reduce. I got X minus 4 equals. Well, 2/3 times 12 over 1, this is going to simplify as well. 3 and 12 becomes really 4 on top, 1 on bottom. So now I have 2 times 4 all over 1, which equals 2 times 4 is 8. Add 4 to both sides now. X equals 12. Done, dizzle, move it on. Alright. If you can set this one up, pause the video and try it yourself. You know it's going to be one fraction equals another fraction. Try to find corresponding sides as well. I see the short side. I'm going to box that. That corresponds to this 8 here. This 12 It's going to correspond to this 18 because those are both long sides. So I have 12 over 18. Actually, you know what? Let's take that back because we like a variable up top. It kind of shortens our steps. 2x minus 10 over 8 equals 18 because we're using this one as the top and this one as the bottom. 18 over 12. Reduce, simplify. I know some people don't like the word reduce, but simplify. 18 and 12, both divisible by 6, which gives us 3 halves. So I have 2x minus 10 over 8 equals 3 over 2. Let's keep going. So I got to get rid of this 8 on the bottom. In order to do that, I'm going to multiply both sides by 8. Because 8 over 8 simplifies, word of the day, is 1 over 1. So this is just 2x minus 10 on the left side. On the right side, however, it does simplify, a little bit more complex. 2 and 8 is going to be 1 on the bottom, but 4 on top. So we have a 3 times 4 now. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, we just got a last couple steps here. This is like a two-step equation. Add 10 to both sides, you get 2x equals 22. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 11 is your answer. Let's keep moving. All right. So we got to state if the triangles in each pair are similar. How do I know if they're similar? Well, I got 3 choices. I got either 2 angles that are congruent. I got a side and a side that are proportional with an angle that's congruent in the middle. Or I have 3 sides that are all proportional. They all have the same ratio. Let's look at what we have. Well, we know that these are vertical angles because anytime you have 2 lines, those are vertical angles. We also know, because these parallel lines, that's going to actually help us a lot. This is creating a transversal. We got DS, this line DS going across the side here. Let me show you something. I'm going to try and erase this middle line. Let's see if I can do that. I think I can. Can I change the thickness? I can. That's cool. Is that too thick? Yeah, that's way too thick. Still too thick? Yeah. How about that? There we go. So I'm going to cover up this line. Once that line is covered, hopefully you can kind of see it. It like makes a little Z shape there. And that really highlights these corresponding angles. The corresponding angles then are going to be this one here, here in the corner. D and S, those are going to be corresponding. And similarly, R and C are going to be corresponding. So let's get rid of this white. Similarly, C and R are going to be corresponding. And in the middle here, T is, of course, vertical on either side. We actually have 3 angles. We only needed 2, but by angle, they are similar. So now I just got to match them up. I see TSR, so that means I'm going to start the second one with also T because it's starting in the middle. That's where the 2 angles meet. S is over here. So where's the other single arc? That's D. So it's going to be TD, and then the double arc will be last. R and C are those corresponding pieces. So that's our similarity statement, matching up the pieces. All right, this one is not similar, but why? Why is it not similar? Well, primarily because you have 1, 2, 3 different angles, and this fourth one, no matter what it was, would not match. It would have to match one of those, but then so would these have to match each other. You're going to have things mismatched. So we have mismatched angles. That's what's going on. So it's not similar. 43. Okay, so the only thing that we could check is by side, 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 and all 3 of those sides have to be proportional. So let's check that. First we got to figure out which ones are corresponding. I'm going to box this 21. That would go with this 91. How do I know that? They're both the shortest side on both triangles. Let's look for the medium side. I see 36 down here is like the medium side, so I'll make a triangle around that one. That means that 156 also has a triangle. and then 182 and 42 would be the last ones. Well, let's compare the three ratios. Let's start with the boxes. We have 21 over 91. Both of those are actually divisible by 7. Not many people realize that, but 7 does go into 91. Goes in 13 times. And 7, of course, goes into 21 3 times. Well, let's look at the other numbers. We got 42 and 182. 42 and 182. Well, I know if I split this in half, that would give me the top one. So that means I have to divide this one by, what would we have here? 14 and 14. And that's, again, going to give me 3 over 13. So the only which ones were that, by the way? That was the circles. Now all I have left is the triangle to check. That's 36 and 156. Well, as I look at that, I know that both are divisible by 3. So I'm going to start there. If I divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, that's going to give me 12 on top and 52 on bottom. Now each of these is divisible by 4, so let's divide those by 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times and into 52 13 times. Hey, look at that. They all simplify to the same ratio. So therefore, by side, 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 they are proportional. Awesome. So B, C, D. B, C, D. So if I see B up here is between the box and the circle, that means that I have to start with P. And then C is down here, so that's going to match up with Q. And the last one is R. There we go. Keep on moving. Alright. Now this one's a little disorientating because you have 3 sides, 2 triangles, and they might be similar, but they actually don't look similar. But I have a feeling they actually are. How can I match them up? Look at the numbers. So 99, let's start with, how about triangle for our first shape? That's the smallest number in this. So that means that's going to match the 36. Similarly, that's funny, no pun intended. If I'm going to box 121, that would be the medium side. That's going to match 44. And lastly, 143 and 52 would match up. Well, let's check these. How about the first one? 36 over 99. Those are both divisible by 9. On top, if I divide by 9, I'd get 4. On bottom, if I divide by 9, I'd get 11. The next one, so that was, what shape was that? That was triangles. Let's look at the boxes. The boxes are going to have 44 and 121. Those are both divisible by 11 because 11 goes into 44 4 times and into 121 11 times. So far, so good. Last one to check here. 52 over 143. Well, each of these is actually divisible by 13. And if I divide the top and bottom by 13, I'm going to get 4 on top. And guess what we get on bottom? Ding, 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 11. So by side, side, side. These are proportional. So now let's match them up. ED. So ED has the box side. It goes from the triangle part of the box to the other part. So that's going to be triangle LM. And then the only letter left is the N. LMN. So now when we're looking at this, we want to ask ourselves, are they similar? I'm going to say no, and here's why. If these were similar, then these should be parallel, but they're not. They're not parallel because you got corresponding angles that should be congruent. And if those aren't congruent, then these aren't parallel. And if these aren't parallel, then these are not similar. So it's just not. It's not similar. It wouldn't be because they're not parallel. And in order to be parallel, they need to be corresponding and congruent. Number 59. Okay, so we're looking at this, and it's not so straightforward to see, but you kind of see like you have a short side and a long side. That means 6 would be the short, and the question mark would be the long. So let's set those up. Let's box the short ones, and we'll triangle the long ones. Why those shapes? Just simple. I don't know why. So we got question mark as a triangle. What would that go with? The other triangle, which is 50, equals the boxes. So I'm going to start with 6 up top, because that goes with the question mark, over 30. Now I can reduce that. 6 and 30 are both divisible by 6. That'd give me 1 up top and 5 on bottom. Now I can multiply both sides by 50 to get rid of this 50. Those 50s reduce. So my question mark equals 50 divided by 5, which reduces down to, or simplifies, I should say, to 10. There we go. That finds the missing piece. Find the missing length. The triangles in each pair are similar. All right. So we know that this and this are congruent. Now when you look at these sides, it's difficult to tell, but I can tell by looking at that the question mark is long and the 72 side is short. Similarly, we have a short side here that's 84 and a long side that's 91. That tells me how to set these up. That means that the long, the question mark there, is going to go with this 91. And then the 72 is going to go with the 84. So let's put those together. That means we got question mark over 91 is equal to 72 over 84. Well, 72 and 84 are both divisible by 12. So I'm going to divide those and see what we come up with. 72 divided by 12 is 6. 84 divided by 12 is 7. So that means I have question mark equals 6 over 7 and question mark over 91. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 91 to get rid of that 91. Because 91 over 91 simplifies to 1. That means question mark equals 6 times 91 over 7. But 91 and 7 reduce. 7 goes into 91 13 times. So that means I have 6 times 13. 6 times 13 is going to be 78. Is that right? Yes, 78. So the question mark should equal 78. Double check my math, but I'm pretty sure that's the right answer. Number 67. Remember, I do bounce around, so pause the video so that you can keep up. Learn to pause the video. All right, let's take a look at these. We got QR. This is long, so let's make that box. Box is our long. That means 36 is also going to be box. That's the long side in the other triangle. Then this 13x plus 2 is going to be triangle. And then the 7 is going to be triangle. So that means 13x plus 2 over 7 is one of the ratios. Then the other ratio is going to be 36 over 9. Hey, look at that. 36 and 9 simplify. They're both divisible by 9. 36 divided by 9 is actually 4. So 13x plus 2 over 7 is equal to 4. I got to get rid of the 7 now. So to get rid of a denominator, we multiply by it, because then it simplifies down to 1. That tells me that 13x plus 2 is going to equal 4 times 7, or 28. Now it's just algebra, 2 steps. Subtract 2 from both sides. 13x equals 26. Divide by 13. And then x equals 2. And that's all we had to do, because it just said solve for x. Didn't say find a measure, just said solve for x. We're almost done here. Look at this. We're at slide 16 of 20. 5 to go. We're in the last quarter here. Hang in there with me, guys. Pushing hard. Okay, to do these, it's really helpful if you draw both triangles. So here's our big one, but then we also have a little one on the inside if you look at this piece here. So that little one is also going to be there. There we go. All right, so the big one, we know this side's 56. And the whole side here is 8x plus 7. Then for the other piece, this blue, it's going to be 32 up here and 36 down here. So we still want to match corresponding sides. So let's box this 8x plus 7. That means that we need to box the 36. And then the 32, we'll put that in a triangle. And that's going to match up with 56. So let's start with the 8x plus 7. So we got 8x plus 7 over what corresponds to it? The 36. Then on the other side, we have 56, because that's, in the same shape there. It's going to correspond to 32. Now we just got to simplify. 56 and 32 are both divisible by 8. 8 goes into 56 7 times, and 32 4 times. So we got this 8x plus 7 over 36 equals 7 over 4. Let's get rid of the 36 now. So we multiply both sides by 36. We're simplifying the 36. We just have 8x plus 7 equals 7 times 36 divided by 4. Well, 4 and 36 simplify. Both of them are divisible by 4. It goes into 36 9 times and into 4 once. That tells me that 8x plus 7 is equal to 7 times 9, which is 63. So now I'm just going to work my way towards x. 8x then is going to equal 63 minus 7 is 54. Divide both sides by 8. Does 8 go into 54 evenly? No, it doesn't actually. So let's just reduce it. So we got x equals 54 over 8. Both of those are divisible by 4, I believe. No, they're not. They're divisible by 2, though. On top, we're going to have 27, and on bottom, we're going to have 4. 27 over 4. That's also, if we put that in there, that's going to be 6.75 if you were to do the decimal calculation. Keep on moving. All right, these are similar. It's got the same idea going on. We're going to put x here for our question mark. But the idea is that we have a small triangle and we got a big triangle. So let's label them. We got 14 for this side of the big triangle. We got 6, or x plus 6 for that side. Why? Because it's got a 6 and an x. For the little one, it's just 6, and this is 10. So what's this little piece over here? Well, the whole thing's 14. That piece is 10. This has to be 4. 14 minus 10 is 4, or 4 plus 10 is 14. That side's 4. So let's start matching up the pieces now. I see that the 4, or let's put it this way, the x plus 6 is going to match with this 6, and then the 4 is going to match with the 14. So if I match those together, that means I would have x plus 6 over, well, what goes with that? 6 equals, then I have the 14 for the other top, and then the bottom here is going to be 4. All right, let's simplify. 14 and 4 both divisible by 2 becomes 7 halves. Now this is grouped up here, so I got to leave those 6's alone. I cannot cancel those out. I cannot reduce those. I cannot simplify them, but I can multiply both sides by 6. Then 6 over 6 is 1. I have x plus 6 on this side. Over here I have 7 over 2 times 6. But 2 and 6 simplify. Be a 3 on top and a 1 on bottom. So I have 7 times 3. So x plus 6 is equal to 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract 6 from both sides, you get x equals 15. So this right here is 15. Check. All right, let's look at this next one. We're going to call this missing piece x. Why? I don't know. Just because. Let's do it in red, though. X. Okay, so we got two triangles. We got to put them together, or we got to break them apart so that we can see how to put the numbers together. So the whole side here, 15 and 9 put together, is going to make 24. That's the whole side. So this side is 24. The other big side is going to be 25 and x put together. So that's going to be 25 plus x. Now for the small one, we got 15 here and 25. All right, let's start grouping these. So this 25 plus x, we'll box that. That means we're going to box 25 as well. Then this 15 and this 24 are going to go together in triangles. So let's start with the pieces that match. We got 25 plus x. That's going to go with the 25. Now on the other side, we got 24 for the big one, the top one, and then 15 for the smaller one down here. Can I simplify? You betcha. 24 and 15 both divisible by 3. Top is going to be 8. Bottom is going to be 5. So now I have to get rid of this 25 on the bottom. No, I cannot simplify this 25 over 25. That's not simplifiable because it's grouped on top here and you want to obey order of operations. So I'm going to multiply instead by 25 on both sides. Because 25 over 25, that's 1. 25 plus x is going to be 8 times 25. Don't forget the denominator, which is 5. We can reduce that denominator with the 25. So 5 and 25, those do reduce. That's going to become 5 on top, 1 on bottom. So I have 25 plus x equals 8 times 5 on top here, which is really 40. If I subtract 25 from both sides, that gives me x equals 15. Ding, 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 15. Let's check the next 3 here. We only got 3 more slides and we are done. All right, we got trapezoids going on here. And the key to looking at the trapezoid is to know that this small piece is going to be proportional to the whole piece. And this small piece here is going to be proportional to the whole piece. So that's what we want to look at. We have this and this, and then we have this small one here and the whole thing. That is what we're looking for. So this small piece here, what's this question mark? I don't know, it's x. But what's the whole thing? It's 14. They do tell me that. And then on the bottom there, how did I know that's 5? Well, the whole thing is 7. This little tiny piece that's missing is 2, so the leftover has to be 5. All right, let's start matching up the pieces. I'm going to have x and 14 are corresponding. And then similarly, 5 and 7 are corresponding. So I'm going to have x over 14 equals 5 over 7. This isn't too bad. Just multiply both sides by 14. 14 over 14 simplifies. It's just x. On the other side, 7 and 14 simplify to 2 on top, 1 on bottom. So then I have a 5 and a 2 divided by 1, which is 10. The answer is 10. Next. We are rolling here. We're going to call this question mark an x. So I have a short and a long. And then I also have another short and a long. This long piece here on the bottom is 21. This long piece here is 12 plus x. This short piece on the bottom is just x. And then this short piece here, we have to do a couple extra things to figure that out. This half is 9. They both make 21. So 9 plus something equals 21. That something is 12. So I got to do corresponding pieces. X and x plus 12 or 12 plus x are corresponding. 21 and 12, those are corresponding. So let's put them together. We got x over x plus 12. Then on the other side, we got 12 over 21. 12 and 21 are going to reduce. Both are divisible by 3. That's going to give me 4 over 7. So now I got to get rid of this denominator and these x's. I got double x's on top and bottom. Man, that means I got to do a lot of work here. In reality, this is one of those times when it does pay off to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply both denominators. I'm going to multiply 7 on both sides. And 7 over 7 is just 1. So I have 7x over x plus 12 equals 4. Now I got to multiply this other one to that side. So multiply x plus 12 on both sides. X plus 12 x plus 12. X plus 12 over x plus 12, that simplifies to 1. Then I have 7x equals 4x plus 48. Keep going. I'm going to subtract 4x. 3x is equal to 48. Divide by 3. X equals, how many times 3 go into 48? 16 would be your answer. Does that make sense? Sure does. X equals 16. Okay, now we're looking at something called the angle bisector. Angle bisector similarity. The similarity taking place here says that this angle is proportional with this side and its arm. So that means that this angle is proportional with the 9 and its arm there. What does that mean? Well, let's call this piece x. We don't know what that is. But I know that x and 9 are corresponding. So then 8 and 12 are corresponding. That means that x over 9 equals 8 over 12. I can simplify that. 8 and 12 both divisible by 4. That gives me 2 on top, 3 on bottom. If I multiply both sides by 9 to get rid of this 9 over 9, that's just going to simplify to 1, or just x, equals 2 over 3 times 9. But the 3 and the 9, those simplify. 1 on bottom, 3 on top. So x equals 6. So this side is 6. But the actual question is, how long is the whole thing? The left side is 6, the right side is 9. Therefore, it is 15. The answer is 15. 15. All right, this next one. We see that the whole thing is 22. So we're going to call this side x. Now this other side is kind of weird. It's actually x, or 22 minus x. Because if I took x plus 22 minus x, those would cancel and it would just be 22. So that's another way to think of how to figure that out. Okay, so we got this 21 here. What's that going to correspond to? Well, it's going to correspond to this x. Is it? Actually, does it really matter? Not so much, I guess. But that 21, that kind of matches with this 12. And then the x's here are going to match as well. We'll box those. That means that x over 22 minus x is going to be equal to the other two. That means 21 over 12. Both of those are going to simplify because they are divisible by 3. So the top would be 7, the bottom would be 4. Now let's get rid of our pieces. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. 4 over 4 simplifies, that's just 1. That means I have 4x on this side over 22 minus x equals 7. Now I'm going to multiply by 22 minus x on both sides. 22 minus x over 22 minus x equals 1. 4x then equals 7 times 22 minus x. What's 7 times 22? Let's figure that out. I'm curious. Bet you are too. 7 times 22, that's going to be 14, carry the 1, 154. So this is 154 minus 7x. Okay, well then I'm going to add 7x to both sides. That gives me 11x equals 154. Let's see, how many times does 11 go into 154? It goes in for sure at least 11 times, and then 4 more. So that would be 15. Is that right? 15 times 11. 10 times 15 would be 150. We had another one in there. It should be 155. So that's not going to work. 11 goes into 154. Let's see what we get. Once here, that's 11. We got 44. 14 times. I was way off. What was I thinking? Oh, it must have been 165 for 55 times. So 14 times. Divide both sides by 11. X equals 14. Does that answer our question? I think it does, because X is the piece that we assigned for the question mark. That's 14. Then this other piece, 22 minus 14, that would be 8. Slightly smaller. Last slide. I've done some like this, but let's just keep in mind what we're really comparing. We're comparing this solid line here to the dotted line, the whole thing. Which means it's going to be this solid line here to the dotted line, which is the whole thing. All right, so let's compare. We got 3 for the solid line, and x minus 4 for this solid line. Then for the big ones, we got 3 and 2, so that's going to be 5. And for this big one, it's going to be x minus 4 plus 4, which is really just x. Okay, that's actually kind of convenient that some of those things cancel out. So now let's look at corresponding pieces. I see that I have this edge here is going to correspond to this edge here. That means that the 3 and the 5 are also going to correspond. So let's write that out, see what we would get. We have x over x minus 4. It's going to be the same as, well, now we got to start with the 5 since we started with this shape over here. This is our top. This is our bottom. Or denom in our numerator. And so that's going to be 3. Alright, well, let's work our way through this. Let's multiply both sides by 3. That's going to give me 3x over x minus 4 equals 5. Now I got to somehow get rid of that x minus 4. Well, I can multiply both sides by x minus 4. Because x minus 4 then, over x minus 4, it simplifies to 1. Then it just leaves us with 3x. On the right side, though, I can ungroup this and start moving some things around. I have a 5x minus 20 then. Right, so now I got some algebra to do. I'm going to subtract 5x from the left and right. That's going to give me negative 2x equals negative 20. Divide both sides by negative 2. And x equals 10. That is helpful, isn't it? Did you say solve for x? I'm pretty sure, but if I need to do more, then this side right here, this would be 6. And that's what we would get. All right, let's do this last one. One more to do, and we are done. So we got the shorts and the longs. The short one here is 2 and 5. The long is the whole thing, which is 6. And over here we got x plus 11. Let's box that. What's x plus 11 match? Well, it matches this 5 here, corresponds. The 2 corresponds with the 6. That means that we're going to have x plus 11 over 5. Those two correspond there. Is going to be equal to 6 over 2. Hey, 6 over 2, that simplifies. That's just really 3. So now I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. That simplifies the 5 over 5. I have x plus 11 equals 15. Then I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides, and x equals 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. And we're done! We're done, Dizzle. You need to do more. You need to study. You need to practice. You need to watch the video again if needed. If you need. I hope that you feel the need to study. Have a good day. See you later.